Dawson Rider Review.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for Mashin Sentai Kiramager episode 16. So this was a little bit more of kind of a silly filler episode. It wasn't as good as the last few weeks, but I still found it to be decently enjoyable, and let's talk about it. So this episode was about marshmallows and PTSD from marshmallows because of marshmallow candy gift exchanges with girls. You know, we've all been there. Basically, the monster of the week is a marshmallow head that turns middle-aged women into marshmallows. A classic toku problem, we all know this. And Silver has PTSD from not PTSD, you know what I mean, I'm just exaggerating, but like, he can't fight. Like, he's immediately frozen in the battle, like Misao not get invited to a pancake party. So they're trying to figure out, like, dude, what's up with you and marshmallows? And he's talking about this time when he was in high school, just before he left, like literally before he got to resolve this issue, he got swept away to Crystalia and got adopted by a family, even though his family's alive. Just, again, that's still weird. But anyway, what ended up happening was a girl gave him candy, and he was supposed to give her candy back, and it was kind of like a, you know, I like you, you like me, something family situation. He ended up screwing it up, basically, and she's like, oh, I want to get a present for White Day or from you or whatever. I'm like, that's racist. You think marshmallows are white. So anyway, he was supposed to give her some marshmallows, and later, this is a classic episode where I'm describing the plot and I feel like I'm nuts. So then later, she overhears him talking to his friends, and they're like, oh, I heard that Akiho gave you some candies. She's an Akiho faux show. And he's like, oh no, there's nothing like that. I got 3 play phones, 1 for each part-time shorty. And so she overheard that. And he screwed up the situation, and then he got swept away to Crystalia, and he's basically felt guilty about it this whole time. So marshmallows bring up bad memories. And so then the premise of the episode is they're trying to help him make these marshmallows to give to her because she's still around, you know, and she's like a MILF now, and they want to help him fix this, but in the process they kind of accidentally discover, like, they're thinking, oh, we can help with the monster and Silver at the same time, and then they basically end up discovering a way to defeat the monster is that marshmallows don't do well when they're frozen, and then Schwarzenegger's like, everybody chill! They create this little Kirame disc later in battle to stop the Marshmallow Man because the frozen stuff works with that. And they're able to sort of solve that situation. And meanwhile, because Silver was so incapacitated during the episode, he didn't feel like going searching, and he needed to solve this situation, so he sends he sends Pink and Blue out to go use his changer, and Pink's actually wearing it, to find the treasure of the week. And it's not a Monstone this time, it's the next auxiliary mech, the Mixelian or whatever it is, and we end up using that later in battle. So in the final battle, they use Mixelian to stop like the big monster of the week, because he's like firing stuff and it's like a cement mixer and it stops it. And then after Silver sort of gains his confidence back because Senna's like, okay, you need to solve this so that, you know, you don't feel guilty. And after they kind of have a nice moment, he fights the Marshmallow Man of the week and defeats it on the ground, and the Rangers fight the big monster in the mecha, and they use the new auxiliary and defeat it. And that was something I was thinking about, is I do kind of dig in Kiramager how we have different monsters that are the big one of the week and the small one. It kind of reminds me of the Go Busters series, where you had like the robot and then the Megazord, and I like that because it allowed you to have different fights, and I think Kiramager's actually been pretty good at that. Like, this episode I think was one of the few times they actually had a ground, or maybe the only time, a ground and Megazord fight, and I always liked that because it made things feel a bit different. But I feel like in general the mecha fights have been pretty entertaining, and I just like having that because you can have situations like this where you have ground and Megazord combat. It just is kind of refreshing from the usual rinse and repeat. But yeah, they basically use the mecha's, you know, cement mixer gun form, and the day is saved, and he gets to make amends with her at the end and apologizes and gives her the marshmallow, and she can't figure out why he's so young, and Senna's happy to see it, and Yellow's like, oh, Senna just wanted to help him so that he wasn't distracted for the team, and Red's like, there's more than that to it, because she's smiling. So I thought it was a nice episode. You know, there wasn't anything amazing about it. It was kind of a classic filler, but I still felt it was entertaining. Again, like I said, it's kind of one of those ridiculous premises that's kind of memorable. Like, I got asked a little while back on a Beast Morphers video, and one of the many times I complained about Beast Morphers filler or PR filler, like what makes a good filler episode. And I don't know if this would qualify as like amazing, great filler episode, but this is like a good example of just a solid filler episode. It's kind of got a dumb, entertaining premise that, like, if you were to see it on TV, or at least me, like if I were to be flipping channels and this would be on, I'd rewatch it because it was kind of entertaining, and the sort of focus on it or the message wasn't overly preachy, like they weren't twerking the message right in front of you, and it wasn't condescending or outdated. And like the main message was obviously, you know, it wasn't even really about like him being mean to her. It was kind of about the guilt of it and making amends and the nice connection with him and Senna. And I feel like if this was PR, it would be like, you can never ever lie. Never ever lie ever in your life. Even if your wife says, do I look fat in these pants? You can't lie because lying's bad. We're in Pleasantville. So this is kind of a good episode of that. It wasn't like amazing. It was just, it had kind of a nice little moment and message with it that wasn't overbearing, and it was kind of entertaining. And I felt like it gave a little bit more to Kira May Silver's character. Not a lot, but it also gave a little bit to Senna's character. And that's, I think, another good example of how to do a filler right. Even in one like this, where it's just kind of like a middle-of-the-road filler where it's not awful and it's not amazing, but I felt like it brought some sort of value to it. Like after this, I felt like Kira May Silver had a little bit added to him, and even more so, I felt like Senna had a little bit more added to her. And I think that does make a good filler, is when I feel like it's added something. And so often, Sentai fillers or Beast Morphers fillers or PR fillers will feel valueless, where I feel like, oh, I just wasted 20 minutes. And I'm not saying this episode was vital to information, but it felt like I didn't waste my time. And so that's kind of a good example of like a filler. I'll probably do a video on that, which will just have the same points on it. But the point is, this was kind of an average filler, but I still enjoyed it decently. And next week looks like we're finally getting Gigant Driller. Again, I've been impressed they've been able to hold off when we've kind of gotten individual debuts for these auxiliaries. But it seems like, based on the preview, that what he's been looking for this whole time is going to be the little crystal that's vital to the transformation of Gigant Driller, which I kind of like. It kind of creates this mini arc from when he showed up to when his mech debuts, and it has a nice through line. Maybe I'll end up being wrong about that, but I think that's pretty cool. But overall, an average but enjoyable filler episode. I would give it a 7. What did you guys think of the episode? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell with notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.